Chiellini President of Juventus. What is the strategy to keep Francisco Conceicao longer at Juventus? What are the rules for the Club World Cup list of players? And also, what will influence a lot of impact for that mini session of transfer market? And at the end, Kevin De Bruyne. Real, not real, fake news, real news? What are the chances to see him wearing the black and white colors?
Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel.
Guys, if you didn't yet, please put a maximum of like, continue to subscribe to the channel to boost it. If you didn't yet, please also share the channel with your families and friends and interact. And speaking about interaction, my son yesterday said, Dad, you are obliged tomorrow to start the video saying thank you to all the people that really took their time to wish me a happy birthday. That being said, are you ready to start with with the Club World Cup? I know that a lot of you are thinking about Venezia Juve, and that's totally important, super important, because that will decide the future of Juve. But we'll come back on Venezia Juve. Let's explain the Club World Cup rules, at least for the list and also the transfer market. That's really small session. Why is it important to do so? Because in 10 days we start, guys. Mercato will be totally crazy this year. I don't know if you realize, we will have two sessions. The usual one from the 1st of July until the end of the month of August. And then you have a small one, a small open window from the 1st of June until the 10th of June. And there everything can happen. I'm extremely curious to follow that one because I don't know what will be the strategy of a lot of clubs. Do they go with a lot of signings in to anticipate everyone, to already have a team nearly ready for the next season? Will they wait? Will they focus only on the loan players that they have? If they want a mini extension, if they want a long extension, I don't know. So I will be extremely curious to understand what is the strategy in that Mercato session. What are the rules by FIFA for that Club World Cup? They tell us after the season, you're obliged to give us a temporary list that goes between the 26 and 50 players, included 4 goalkeepers. You can put whoever you want to. You can put the players that are coming back from loan. You can put some players that are there at the moment, but then they will leave. You can put whoever you want. 50 players maximum, minimum 26. Then the important thing is that you give us a definitive list from 26 to 35 players max in latest the 10th of June, so a few days before the start of the Club World Cup. Okay, you can put whoever you want. Super important that date, because then whoever is there is there. Whoever you didn't put in cannot be put in. Why am I telling you that? For example, free agents a la Modric, De Bruyne, Jonathan David, if you sign them as free agent on the 11th of June, it's too late. They cannot participate in the group stages of that Club World Cup with you. It's too late. It's over. So if you want free agents to reinforce your team, go fast. If you want to sign a player, go fast. Like, for example, Real Madrid already did with Huijsen from Bournemouth, because he will join them immediately. They found that agreement. Super important to understand that, because otherwise it's over. Can you change that list? Yes, you can. So if you go through in the next stage, it means first or second in the group stages, from the 27th of June until the 3rd of July, you can still make some changes, which means maybe a player has been bought from your club and you need to take him away. Some players you can add maximum 6 new players in that list. Pay attention, not more than 6. Not that I believe that in a few days you are able to go with 6 new players, but that's the max that they tell us. Why are they doing that? To actually make sure that the best possible players that are joining your team, they are there, they are participating, because they want, at least that's the idea of FIFA, that this is not a friendly tournament, that the best possible players are able to play with one condition. If a player already played the first part, the group stages with one team, cannot play the second part with another team. So we will not see, for example, Cambiaso starting with Juve the 3 first game and then going for the second part of the tournament with Manchester City if they sign him. That's not possible, okay? That's really important. Juventus needs to anticipate. But between the 27th and the 3rd, when the official window will be open, you can go and sign some players that didn't participate. For example, you can even put them in the list. Is that clear? I hope so, because it will influence a lot. Because at the moment, Juventus, they have some important objectives to go for, to understand who will be there in that list of maximum 35 players. Conceicao is a big question mark. We know that he's on loan with us until the end of June. but they didn't really mention if he could or not participate with Juventus to that Club World Cup. Normally not. So if Juventus, they want Conceicao, they are obliged to go to pay the clause, a clause of 30 million euro, which means that the player is 100% permanently a black and white player. Do we really want to go for that? Well, Tuttosport today is opening the page with Conceicao, Riscatto Mondiale. Actually, let us understand that that last game against Venezia will be extremely important, crucial for his future. Honestly, I don't believe that much that that last game will be important for Conceicao to decide if yes or no he will be a Juve player in the future. The evaluations were already done by Juve. They know the player, they know the strength, they know the weaknesses, they know the margin that he has to grow. Everything is already there. And Juventus came to the conclusion, if he scores, if he doesn't score, if he plays well, if he doesn't play well against Venezia, they came to the conclusion that if we qualify to Champions League, well, they really want to try to keep him. First, trying to keep him a bit longer, asking to Porto to extend that loan to at the end of the month of July. Actually, to let him, or mid-July, to actually make sure that he can participate with us to the Club World Cup. And actually trying to decrease. So instead of going and paying the clause of 30 million, well, asking, can we have a small reduction on the price? Because we already paid between 7 and 8 million for the player, for the loan, for the season 24-25. Well, if we can go towards a 22, max 24 million euro, we'd love to think about it to keep the player. 30 million plus the 8 that we already paid is probably a bit too much for Conceicao, in our opinion today. Then we can maybe go towards other objectives. What would you do with Conceicao? Would you let him go immediately? Would you extend him only for the Club World Cups, knowing already that he's not the player that you want to go for? Or would you go and pay that 30 million or trying to negotiate? Let me know what you would do with Conceicao. Super important. Then, you saw it today. I have a really beautiful shirt on, the one of the 22nd of May 1996, which we won the last Champions League. We are speaking about 29 years ago. Next season will be the season of the 30 years of Juventus winning that Champions League. It will be phenomenal. Also expect from Juventus side on social media next year to start communicating about it. Well, 29 years. One of my biggest proud of working this season with Juventus, especially taking care of the Juventus official fan clubs, was to have the opportunity to meet a few times Moreno Terricelli, the MVP of that night in Rome, that not only I had the opportunity to interview, to speak with him, to have lunch with him, to have breakfast with him, but also that he became my friend. And that's one of the biggest proud as a Juventino, because I was a kid, I was watching that game, and I was saying, wow, what a game of Juve, but wow, what a player that Moreno Torricelli, what a game from him, mamma mia. Well, having the opportunity to say he became my friend 29 years later is something unique and beautiful. Another legend of Juventus Football Club can change his destiny. We're speaking about Giorgio Chiellini. Giorgio Chiellini, like Mirko Di Natale wrote on Twitter this morning, said, look, the ex-defensor of the Bianconeri, well, in the club, they're really thinking to let him continue to grow, to become, or to have the possibility to become the president of Juve in the future. So not today, but in the future. For people that are watching the lives, does it remind you something? Listen to that one of the 9th of January 2025. I was just back from Saudi Arabia with some news. The next president, probably, if there are no big changes, etc., is Giorgio Chiellini. He's doing the process, or vice president or president, but I really think that that's the goal. Now, of course, it makes sense. They take him, they are not putting him in the sporting side, but he has already the background of the sporting side, and he has a huge background of what is Juventus. If you can't do it live, well, go, because the videos, they remain there, watching the replay, because sometimes you have some ideas, like the fact that I told you about Nicolo Fagioli. I know that a lot of people, they were crying, Nicolo Fagioli is going, he's not even paid a lot by Fiorentina. Well, Fiorentina is thinking twice about it. For what reason? Not because of the technical skills of the player, but because of the emotional fragility, and that's why they are really doubting to continue with him. I love the player. I interviewed him, I met him. Fantastic player, no doubts about that. But that emotional fragility is something huge. And that's why I told you I have no regrets that he went to Fiorentina. I think that his journey at Juve was over. He could potentially come back. That's one of the players that could potentially be at the Club World Cup. I don't think that he will stay longer at Juve. Even if at Juve there is a part that is saying, guys, if we can have him back, if he can grow up, if he can mature, if he can put away all his side problems, it's not a bad thing if Fiorentina is not taking him. What are your thoughts about Niccolò Fagioli? Let me know. Because now we go towards another name, the one of Kevin De Bruyne, which Mirko Natale is confirming the news of yesterday, that there were some big interest from Juve to the player, at least big interest. The interest of Juve with some calls made to the entourage of Kevin, saying, oh, where is the situation? We are there, we are there. You never know, that Juventus, they are also thinking about you. It will be tough for timing because Napoli went really fast in the player. They were able to anticipate, and that's why I told you, knowing with certainty that you are in Champions League, it changed the world. We will need to wait because today we don't even know if we will play Champions League or not. We need to wait until Sunday evening. It's from Monday that we really start being able to tell to a player, yes, we play to that competition, or no, we'll have another competition to play. So super important, but looks like it will not be a done deal because of the salary, because of the timing, because of a lot of things which make it extremely difficult. I tell you, Kevin De Bruyne at Juve, of course, I would be happy, even if I know about the injury, I know about the age, I know about all the things. I would be happy, but I don't think it's feasible. And that's why Juventus is thinking about other objectives. And that number one objective is and remain Tonali, even if Fabrizio Romano, Matteo Moretto, this morning they also confirmed something else. Yes, they are there. Yes, they want. Yes, it's one of the first objectives. But Newcastle, forget about the 60 million that you heard. If they let him go, because they don't want to let him go, because they really believe in him, it's at least for triple digit, which means 100 million euro. Would you invest 100 million euro for Tonali? I would really think twice, because there we speak about huge big money. But before speaking about all of that, of course, we have one mission against Venezia, and it is to qualify. And Tudor, he has a huge big mission, because it's true that he won at home a lot of games, but away from home, we only did 3 points. Bologna, Lazio, Roma. We lost against Parma. He will have a 5th game, the last game of this season, to go for something that he didn't do at the moment with Juve. Winning 3 points away from home. Super important. If he does it, if the team follows him, and if we are able to do it, we are in Champions League, change the future. Probably, unfortunately, not the future of Tudor, that if you are listening to all the people, is already written. Kalulu, he wrote a lot of his future with his beautiful performances this season. I believe that's the first priority. Qualification in Champions League or no qualification Champions League on Monday, you need to knock on the door of Milan saying, here the money. We don't even discuss with you. Here the money for Pierre Kalulu, that a lot of people were really not believing in. I remember I had to justify why he was a great player and why at these figures, at these numbers, it was a good deal for Juve, because people were still crying about Calafiori, about Todibo. I told you, Kalulu, pay attention. And look, the season that he did gave him a fantastic, beautiful reward. The first call-up by Didier Deschamps with the national team. Of course, I'm a bit sad that Thuram didn't do it. Thuram, that is MVP of Juve for the month May. Congratulations to him, but I'm sure it will come. His time will come with the national team of France, but I'm already happy that not only him, Kalulu, but also Kolo Muani is also called up. Kolo Muani, that Juventus will try at the end of the month of May, so after the final of Champions League, to sit at the table with Paris Saint-Germain to at least try to keep him longer for that Club World Cup, and maybe, who knows, longer also for next season. The good news for the fans of Kolo Muani, or for the one that think that Kolo Muani could be a real asset for Juve also next season, is that at the moment there are not a lot of offers for Kolo Muani, that really concrete offer that came to Paris Saint-Germain. So we have a possibility there. Another thing that Juventus will need to discuss is Veiga. I tell you, there will be a lot of work. That's why I will start again the lives every evening to speak about mercato, because from one day to another, Veiga could go back to Chelsea, or we have that agreement that he could stay with the Bianconeri. So pay attention to that. Also, at the door, Bournemouth is smart. You know what they are doing after Huijsen, taking him low price and selling him after one season a lot of money. They are thinking to do it again, this time with Nicolo Savona. But Juventus this time they said, calma, calma, we don't want to do it again. We are thinking to extend the contract of Nicolo Savona. And I tell you, that would be extremely smart. At the moment, he has a minimum contract, 300k, which is the same as Pinsoglio, for example. It's a player that for a first year at Juve, he gave a lot. Yes, I know he had a bit of problems in the middle of the season, especially at a certain moment when he was shifted to the left side, playing with a growing pain. But we're looking for young players that have that Juve DNA. He's there since the age of 8. He did all the youth academy with Juve. It's an Italian player. What do you want more? A player that has a lot of margin to grow, that can play in a 3-man defense, in a 4-man defense. Is he the starter of a Champions League evening at today? Probably not. But it's a player that I can see really doing much good. Really good with Juve. So Savona is a player that I want in my 25 amount of players team. Absolutely yes. So I don't want to let him go. Let me know what you think about that. And then Kenan Yildiz. Gazzetta is pushing. If we don't qualify to Champions League, he's on the market. If we don't qualify to Champions League, he's the player that will be sacrificed for 70, 80 million euro. From what I know, no. Kenan decided already to stay at Juve also next season. Then, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. From what I heard at today, that's the idea of the player, of the family, of the entourage. That's it. Ragazzi, that was it for me for today's video. We'll maybe come back with a live this evening, depending a bit. I think I will do it. If you didn't yet, please put a maximum of likes. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Grazie, forza, Juve.